It's time for Southern Fried Baseball, presented by College Baseball Central. Hosted by Jake Mckeever as he talks everything SEC baseball and more.
Welcome in, College Baseball Central fans. Tournament time is upon us, if you will. Andrew and I both rocking our Tulane gear in spirit of our fallen Tulane brethren who will not be advancing and playing in the 2025 tournament. Andrew, let's take a moment of silence to remember all of those that we lost along the way.
Especially Virginia and A&M.
Yep. To Missouri. You gave us the best series of our lives for one weekend. 2 run rules. 66% of your SEC wins were run ruled. Nobody in the conference can touch that. You fought valiantly, but Carrick Johnson and the boys, your 2025 season is over. To South Carolina, a memorable 2025 season for all of the wrong reasons. We thank you, South Carolina, for beating Ole Miss randomly that one weekend. For taking one against Oklahoma that ultimately moved Malachi Witherspoon into the Sunday roll. We had some highs, not very many, but we had some lows. I'll remember the most about you, South Carolina, is Roman Kimball's dad. We salute you, South Carolina, in 2025 form. And lastly, our final SEC team, Texas A&M. From preseason number 1 to not even one and done, we salute you, Texas A&M. The ultimate roller coaster, if you will. The highs were really high. Sweeping Tennessee in a Saturday series. Taking 2 of 3 from Arkansas. Taking 2 of 3 from LSU. But we'll remember the lowlights. Getting stalled by Kentucky. Gentlemen's walk-offs against Alabama in back-to-back days. And, of course, Missouri. And we'll leave it at that. We also want to thank our fallen brothers from past, Georgia Tech. While you are no longer a member of the SEC, we share outrage with our former SEC brethren. Andrew, and on that note, let's be positive. 4 SEC teams are the top 4 seeds. 13 SEC teams are dancing. Let's go ahead and start right at the top with the number 1 team, the Vanderbilt Commodores. Absolutely rolled through the SEC tournament, never since the word. And in return, they get the number 1 overall seed. Vanderbilt will take on a perennial mid-major Horizon League power Wright State, who is dancing for the 4th time in 5 years. They'll get their Bucket brothers in Louisville, who are going to be coming down. And then the Bang Bros from ETSU that are living to be the Kings of Tennessee. Andrew, what stands out to you the most about this regional? Game times are as follows. ETSU versus Louisville at 2 p.m. on ESPN+. Vanderbilt Wright State on the SEC Network. What stands out?
This Vanderbilt and Louisville game, I think. I wouldn't count out Wright State and ETSU. They both can swing the bats very well. ETSU and Wright State also just going through their conference tournaments and dominating. But Vanderbilt's been the hottest, I feel like the hottest team in the country over the last month and a half. Ever since I said that, we're going to be talking about Vanderbilt as a top 15 team in a little, they just said, no, we're not going to go top 15. We're going to be the top seed.
Top seed, period.
Yeah. I'm really excited for a possible Battle of the Barrel regional game between Vanderbilt and Louisville. But
do you think the trophy will get brought with them?
If Louisville was smart, they would bring it as a tactic.
Yeah, like they'd like touch it every time they hit a home run or something like that.
Yes.
So I'll say this. How do you think Vandy pitches this? Do you think Thompson goes in the 1-0 game on Saturday night and then Bowker in the championship game 2-0?
Yeah, I could see it. The Vanderbilt pitching staff's been very good as of late, so I wouldn't be shocked if they even think, maybe one game we don't throw Thompson. Well, let's save him for that Louisville or ETSU game.
I should say this. I do think that this is a little bit of a bad matchup for Vandy. And if you are the number 1 overall seed, I think that this is a tough test. CTSU is one of the best hitting teams in the country. Louisville also, I would say, once they get past Patrick Forbes, it feels like they're a very hitter-first team.
Yes,
Vanderbilt's probably not going to face Patrick Forbes. And Vandy's there strictly because of their pitching. It is they have taken over Texas as the number 1 pitching staff in SEC play. I believe they're in the bottom half of the SEC in runs scored.
Yes.
So I always call it the Arkansas theory, if you will, of that when you give up 5 runs by your ace, can you battle back? I don't think Vandy can battle back. I don't think they have the firepower to punch their way through a regional. This is one where they have to stay on top of everything. They have to get good long starts from Thompson and Bowker if they want to have any chance here.
Yeah, especially with who they could potentially get in a super regional.
Yes. All right, let's go ahead and pick it. Vanderbilt, Wright State in the opener. Who you got?
I'm taking Vanderbilt over Wright State. I just think Vanderbilt rules.
I think it's just Vanderbilt too much. I'm going to go gritty, low-scoring game. Give me 6-1. Louisville, ETSU. I have ETSU winning this one. What do you have?
Yeah, I'm going to go ETSU too. I think Louisville, coming in as a 2 seed, I'm a little shocked they're a 2 seed. Granted, they are probably the lowest 2 seed out of everyone. I have them as a middle 3 seed. I like ETSU to swing it in this one.
I do too, but here's the kind of caveat here. I have Vandy taking the 1-0 game over ETSU, and then Louisville beating ETSU in the rematch, which would set up Louisville-Vandy in a 2-0 game. Vandy takes that one pretty easy in my head.
Yes.
So we both have Vanderbilt advancing. Moving on down to the Hattiesburg Regional that is going to be matched up with them super regionally. Also announcement time. Mike and I will be in the house for this regional as I'll get to see my Columbia Lions take on the Southern Miss Golden Eagles.
And I wonder if Aiden Schott would be there.
He is free. So then the Fighting Rob Vaughns will take on the JD Artegas of the world. Let's start with the Miami since it is kind of your neck of the woods. Do you think Miami was worthy of being a host? Of being in the tournament?
No. They got swept by Virginia, and that's all I have to say. Justice for Virginia. I kind of
feel the same way. And furthermore, I think Miami's in happy to be here territory.
Yeah, they're happy to be here. They did get hot for a little bit, but then they dropped that series to Notre Dame. They go one and done, and not even one and done. They got run ruled in the ACC tournament
by Cal of all teams.
Yes, and to not even see them as one of the last 4 teams in. That was more shocking for me.
So I have some stats here. The last time Miami advanced to the second weekend of the tournament was 2016. Also, the last time that they made it to the College World Series. It's almost crazy to think about how good they used to be versus where they are now. They went in 19, 21, 2, 3, missed the tournament last year in Ortega's first year. I don't think there's any chance Miami gets out of this one. I think that they're going to be – I would almost go as far as to say if there's a 4 seed that wins a game, it is Columbia against Miami.
Yeah, I could see that 100%.
Moving on to the top part of that bracket as we are starting to give predictions. Southern Miss takes on Columbia. Columbia obviously punched their ticket by winning the Ivy League. They were tied for the number 1 overall seed with Yale. Ultimately, they beat Yale in the tournament. They beat Holy Cross in their little tune-up thing that they always do with the Patriot League. We're both taking Southern Miss here, right?
Yeah.
What are the chances Columbia wins?
0, because I think Middleton's going to throw this game no matter what. And I think Southern Miss pitching staff is too good, even if they throw Middleton or their Saturday starter, that Southern Miss advances.
I was going to say the same thing. I give it a 10% chance, but I think that this is definitely more than likely going to be one of those run rolls that gets out of hand early. The other side of the bracket, like you said, we're picking Miami. Who do you think starts this game for Alabama? Do you think that they speed up Riley Quick? Quote unquote?
No, I think they'll keep Quick on Saturday. I think we will see Zane Adams sped up, though.
Interesting. I would love to see the righty-lefty splits versus Miami. I think that that's another thing that could factor into it.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you can't go wrong with either Zane Adams or Riley Quick. Both of them can just eat innings. The big key for me will be saving Osmer for as long as they can. If they can get him to throw 3-4 innings on Sunday in a 2-0 game, you feel really, really good about that if you're Alabama. They need long starts out of that. So Miami versus Columbia. I have Columbia knocking out Miami. First upset on our bracket.
I'm going to go Miami over Columbia, but I can definitely see Columbia taking down Miami. I just think Miami, I think Griffin Hughes will throw against Bama, but I think the pitching staff's strong enough to take down Columbia, and their bats, if they can't score at least 5 or 6 runs off of Columbia pitching, they should fire Ortega right there.
I don't know if Ortega's on the hot seat. I think he did enough to save his job. Southern Miss Alabama in the 1-0 game. This is where we project Riley Quick to start. Pitching advantage Alabama. I'm going with the Tide here.
Yeah, I'm going to go Tide. I don't think Southern Miss has faced a pitcher like Riley Quick all year. I think Alabama goes 2-0.
They did face TCU's stud guy. I forget his name.
Lepore.
Yeah, they did face Tommy Lepore earlier in the year, but that was back in February. So in the elimination game, Southern Miss versus Miami, I'm going with Southern Miss again. I think that we get a rematch with Alabama. Yeah. I go as far as to say that this even goes to the if necessary game.
I agree.
I have Southern Miss taking it. I think Alabama runs out of pitching and hits a wall.
I like Alabama taking this regional, and that's just not me being an SEC guy. I just think that's Alabama, being Alabama. I think we see breakout from Justin LeBron. Yes, I'm going to be top 5 overall next year.
Yep, it is going to be the LeBron show in your head. I have Southern Miss there. Let's move on down a little bit into that next regional. Tallahassee, we have one SEC team in this whole side of the bracket. So if we do want all 8 SEC teams, this would be kind of one of those ones that we do need to monitor. Florida State versus Bethune-Cookman. The SWAC, let me see if I can find it, because I did pull the stats on this, Andrew. 2014 was the last time a SWAC team won a tournament game, and since then, the SWAC has been outscored 162-40. Bethune-Cookman off their heroics and that walk-off, and just the most out of pitching I could possibly imagine in a tournament like that. Yeah. They draw probably America's sweetheart, if you will, at Florida State. Also a red-hot Northeastern team, has the nation's longest winning streak, but facing a Mississippi State team that probably should have been a 2.
Yeah, I think Mississippi State should have been one of the final 2s. If Vanderbilt wasn't the number 1 overall seed, if it was North Carolina, I think we would have saw Mississippi State go there as the 2. I think Mississippi State probably hates their draw because of how they have to go and face probably one of the best pitchers no one has heard of. And I'm even blanking on his name right now, and I did the Northeastern write-up. Let me pull it up.
While you do that, I should say this. That I think this warrants bringing up, because stop me when you've heard this before. Mississippi State is taking an interim coach to Florida State. The team that's a 2 can really, really swing it. They're an under-the-radar team that everybody thinks is just going to cakewalk. And the 4th team's kind of a moot point. Where have you heard that before?
I think I've seen that all over your Twitter the last 3 days.
Yeah, Elijah McNamee. I think I have to retweet it every time it comes up. The interesting one is, does State try and save PicoCon? I think if
no, you have to go PicoCon against Will Jones. Will Jones is 11-0 with a 1.82 ERA in the CAA. I don't care if people say, "Oh, it's the CAA." The CAA has some good offense. UNCW, Charleston. I'm not going to say Stony Brook, but Stony Brook does have some decent
Campbell.
Campbell. They have some decent hitters. So
do you think Stone Simon can get him there?
No. I think maybe Evan Sierra.
I could see Evan Sierra throwing that.
The way he's growing.
If they can save PicoCon versus Jamie Arnold, that would just
that'd be amazing.
That would be like having Pop Rocks for the first time. I think that would be the best thing. Let's go ahead and get into prediction time here. Florida State's taking Bethune-Cookman, right?
They're taking them out back. Well, the good thing for Bethune-Cookman, Daytona to Tallahassee is probably only a 2-hour drive. So
they might not even get a hotel to save money.
No.
I think that's more likely to be a run roll than it is to be a win.
It'll be like a 15-2 game, I think.
I think Northeastern surprises Mississippi State.
Surprises.
I'll say this about Mississippi State. Yes, Justin Parker has got them playing better. I don't really think they're as good as they lead on.
Oh, no. I think Northeastern's going to take care of Mississippi State.
They got a very favorable back end. I think Northeastern beats them.
Yes.
Florida State's obviously going to dispatch Northeastern. Mississippi State, I think Northeastern's. I think that they'll get them on I think Mississippi State will just have more depth than Northeastern, and they'll get them there.
Yeah.
But Florida State's going to, use the depth, and I think the last game I don't think will be that competitive.
No, I think Florida State sweeps through. Only problem I can see is the weather being an impact this weekend.
And yes, it is something to follow that Baton Rouge, Hattiesburg, that whole area of the country is probably going to be affected by weather. This is our first true where we don't believe the SEC team is going to make it. I would go as far as to say of the three regionals that we've talked about, this is the toughest draw for an SEC team.
Yes.
By far. We do have them going to the championship game. We won't spend as much time on this, but just give me your top two for the Oregon State regional. I have TCU and Oregon State advancing.
I agree. I got TCU, Oregon State, then TCU moving on.
I will say I did the write-up on Southern California. I don't know how they're going to pitch their way through that regional.
No.
They have two guys that throw a bunch of their innings. There's nobody outside of that. Chapel Thrill Regional. Remember, this does have an SEC team in it. If you are interesting one here, as a football rivalry finds its way into the diamond, as Oklahoma-Nebraska is a fantastic, fantastic football rivalry.
Yes, it is.
The last time these two teams met was last year in Arlington. Jackson Willits knocked in a go-ahead run in the bottom of the ninth for the walk-off. Nebraska was a lot better that last year, I think, than this year. Holy Cross, I think, is one of the weaker 4 seeds, evident by them getting swept in 2 games by Columbia. They have one starter that they're probably going to run out there till his arm falls off. In a surprising turn of events, have Oklahoma being in the driver's seat for this one.
Yeah, I think they're not going to throw the Witherspoon we're thinking against Nebraska.
Could you see Crossland?
I can see either Crossland or Malachi running out there and dominating this Nebraska lineup.
Crossland's an Oklahoma kid. He knows how much it means to hate Nebraska. He grew up hating Nebraska.
Mm-hmm.
I think Crossland shoves. Nebraska being a 3 seed, I think, just exemplifies how seeding works in the tournament. Yeah. Is that a power conference will never be lower than 3 despite winning it.
Yes.
Holy Cross is a very weak 4, I would say.
Yeah, probably one of the weakest.
They have a losing record in OOC. Them or Bethune.
There's one more you're forgetting. Little Rock.
Yes, I think Little Rock actually is the worst. Mm-hmm. So we have North Carolina, Oklahoma in the 1-0 game. I have Oklahoma with Kyson Witherspoon spinning a gem.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. I go Kyson over UNC. The UNC Bats, they have struggled against good pitching recently, except outside of FSU. Outside of that game, they have struggled, it feels like. But I really like the matchup for Oklahoma.
Then relative to that loser's bracket game, I have North Carolina dispatching Nebraska.
Yes.
Then in that final game, they'll get Malachi Witherspoon. I think North Carolina will win that one. Mm-hmm. But I think ultimately the pitching depth catches up with North Carolina, and Oklahoma wins that game. Because could you see Cam Johnson coming out of the bullpen there?
Is Cam Johnson even alive for them?
He is. I think I talked to him a little bit. He is definitely alive.
I thought he was hurt. Or no, that was just like a virus at one time.
I think it was just he just had the walk bug, if you will. We'll breeze through the bottom one. I have Arizona advancing out of the Eugene Regional.
I have Arizona over Cal Poly in that one.
Mark Garland, no chance Oklahoma beats UNC. Mark, get ready to learn Witherspoon sandwich because it's coming.
And get ready to learn Cal Poly over Oregon.
Cal Poly over Oregon. Let's stay in that Conway Regional, if you will. This is one where Florida kicks it off with East Carolina at noon, followed by Coastal Carolina and a very underrated Fairfield team.
Yes.
Coming out of the MEAC or
The
MAC?
MAC. Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference.
Which, by the way, is a good plug for our buddy Mike Bergevin. He was having them name mascots out of the MAAC. I know you, being a Jersey guy, can probably name them all off the top of your head.
Whoa,
so,
not Jersey, New York.
Sorry.
New York.
I think I could name 3.
Niagara, Canisius, Fairfield, Ryder, Manhattan. Oh, God. 5. Manhattan. I think that's all I can name.
I would have to look that one up too, because I don't.
I'm not gonna look it up there, but
I know Lemoyne's in there now.
Canisius, Niagara, Iona, Manhattan, Marist, Merrimack, Mount St. Mary's, Niagara.
Is it Marist or Marist? I've only ever seen it spelled.
Marist.
Niagara, and then Merrimack. I'm gonna be honest.
Quinnipiac, Ryder, Sacred Heart, St. Peter's, and then Siena. Obviously,
any of those mascots off the top of my head other than St. Peter's. But we will move on. Coastal Carolina, probably the hottest team in the country. Feeling a little slighted being a 13. I saw. I don't know if you saw that video, but they're
48 wins. You think they deserve a little higher? I think they deserved a top 10 seed, not 13. But it seems like everyone was kind of shocked with the rankings. So.
Yeah, I mean, from a pecking order standpoint, it felt like they were far and away above Southern Miss. I felt like they should have been a little bit higher.
You take 5 games from them this year, like
Florida as a 2 seed there is dangerous.
I think you're going to be shocked with my final 2 here.
Then obviously ECU, your homeboys, the Fighting Cliff Godwins, a team that everybody loved to hate last year.
Yes.
Everybody hates to love this year.
Yeah, I mean, ECU in what seemed like a down year. Like, I was in there in the press conference Saturday after they come back and beat USF, and I say to Braden Burris, your fans think this is a down year. Like, can you explain why not? And Cliff Godwin's over in the corner laughing. And then I ask him, I'm like, oh, like, what, do you think it's a down year? He's like, no, we're young. This is just like 2017 all over again, the last time they didn't make a regional. But Braden Burris, get ready to learn Braden Burris, walk-on freshman who will be put on scholarship next year. But this ECU-Florida game is probably my favorite pitching matchup, no matter who UF throws, I think.
Do you think it's going to be Liam?
I think it's going to be Liam or Aiden King against Ethan Norby, and I'm so excited for that.
Florida is kind of still dealing with that injury bug. What are the odds we see Colby Shelton this weekend?
I think 40-60.
40-60 no versus yes?
40 no, 60 – or 40 yes, 6 – yeah, 40 yes, 60 no.
That reminds me, I should probably text Sully. Subtle flex there.
Hey, Sully, you taking the Mississippi State job? No.
That was A&M. That was not.
No, I was talking about Chris's lip sync to the video that SC Network got of him last week.
Yeah. I think that was about a pitcher pitching, by the way, was what the story that I got from Chris. But we are kind of getting sidetracked here. I think Coastal takes that one. I think if you're going to make me pick a 4 seed that I could see winning a game, this would be the 4 seed I would pick. I think ultimately Coastal's too hot, too much firepower.
Yeah.
I have Florida beating ECU.
I have Florida beating ECU game 1. Game 2, I have ECU beating Fairfield, Florida beating Coastal. Then I have ECU beating Coastal in the final elimination game, and then Florida taking it from ECU in the final game to advance to the Super Regional.
I'd like that a lot. I could actually see that playing out too. But I don't have the balls to do that because I'm kind of a no-nonsense guy. I think it's going to be a 3-game set between Coastal and Florida, with Florida emerging victorious at the end of it all.
That'd be a fun one to watch, though.
I wish I was in your part of the country so I could drive up 12 hours to go see this one.
Keyword 12 hours.
Moving on to probably the biggest surprise of the tournament, the Auburn Tigers as a 4 seed. They will host Central Connecticut State out of the NEC. Very weak baseball conference. You and I both had Bryant advancing out of that one.
Yeah.
We were sorely disappointed. I wouldn't say sorely, actually. That would be another one where we could try and name all the mascots of the NEC. NC State, they are, I would say they're the closest to Florida in terms of a few weeks ago. They had, hey, if these things go right, they could win the tournament or they could host a tournament. They looked absolutely abysmal when I watched them back in Jacksonville at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
Seemed to have righted the ship. And then probably the biggest fraud in the entire country, the Stetson Hatters.
Let's be honest, Jake. Did you really think they were going to drop 2 games to FGCU?
I'm going to be honest with you. I just think it was kind of
I think it's bullshit.
That they were like, Florida Gulf Coast is going to win this game, but based on run differential, it's going to be Stetson.
Yeah, that's stupid. That's called RPI booster, RPI saver.
Feels dirty. I am very anti-Stetson.
You're anti-Logan Gilbert, anti-Jacob deGrom.
Here, all right, let's go ahead and pick this one. Auburn over Central Connecticut State. Central Connecticut State. No. Sorry.
Yeah, I think Auburn can trot out anyone they want.
You think they go Chatterton?
Yeah. Confidence booster for him there too.
Oh yeah, that could be a good him throwing like 5 shutty,
like 15 Ks all of a sudden. Everyone's like, where the hell's this one been?
I have Stetson over NC State in the bottom half of that bracket.
You just went on this little tangent.
I know.
Frauds.
Not so fast.
I could see Stetson taking this one. Their pitching has been phenomenal all year. Stetson is a pitching powerhouse. But I think NC State takes it.
So I have Auburn. You have NC State taking. Sorry, I have Stetson. You have Auburn. Walk us through this bottom half of the bracket. Central Connecticut State's going to get bounced early.
Yeah, I think Central Connecticut will go 0-2 barbecue. Stetson will go 1-2 in barbecue. I think Auburn sweeps its way through this regional. I think the pitching depth is there for Auburn. I think the hitting is just getting hotter and hotter. Even with a poor showing in Hoover, in my opinion, I think they get it done.
They didn't play that bad in Hoover, I should say. They just kind of got
punched. They lost to A&M.
They just got punched in the mouth at like 9 in the morning. I have this one being Stetson takes a game to extend it, and then Auburn just steamrolls them. Yeah, in the winner take all game.
Yeah,
I have NC State going 1-2, getting bounced early.
I can see that too. Yeah.
Let's move to the other side of the bracket here. The number 2 overall Texas Longhorns have, in my opinion, the easiest route to a super regional. As you will notice, they're the only SEC team. There are no ACC teams in this side of the bracket. There is a very overrated UCLA team that is only there for TV money. There is a very overrated Kansas State team. UTSA does not feel like a 2 in any sense of the word. Arizona State is happy to be there. Houston Christian might put up more of a fight than Kansas State. I'm going to be honest with you.
I agree. I think Houston Christian eliminates Kansas State.
I should say this about Houston Christian because I got to watch them play. They know they can't hit. And they play like they can't hit. They bunt, they steal. It's going to be a challenge and a different style of baseball for Houston Christian. I think Texas makes 2 errors in that game. I think Texas is down in the 6th inning. But I think ultimately the clutchness of the Texas bats shine through in that opening round matchup. I think it'll probably be Ruger to get a little confidence booster back. Because ultimately I think they feel like Harrison gives them the best chance to win.
Yeah, I mean, Clay Vanderland has done a great job with this Houston Christian team. I think Houston Christian will keep it low scoring at first, but I think Texas ultimately moves on. I think UTSA run rules Kansas State.
Yeah, I do too. Well, so here's the kind of the disappointing part if you are UTSA, because this is a team that kind of lives to wear pitchers down, is a lot of times in these 14 tournaments, you don't get to see the fruits of your labor, if you will.
Yeah, and that's what I took from this UTSA team covering them when they were playing Tulane earlier this year. I watched all those games, and it's like, okay, wow, they're working really good at bats. And then I see them on Saturday in person against Tulane, and they were just jumpy. They were jumpy, trying to be aggressive way too early, giving Carter Benbrook a lot of first pitch outs, letting Benbrook go 4 innings. And it's nothing against Benbrook being a good pitcher, because Benbrook's a phenomenal lefty. It was just very out of character for UTSA last week. I think they make a statement, run rule Kansas State, and even maybe put some pressure on Texas to take their second win over Texas this year.
Do you think they throw Ethan Walker, or do you think they throw Ruger in that?
I think Ethan Walker, so you can get a little Ruger revenge game against UTSA.
Ooh, I would love that. And then you said
it's not a revenge game. It's from what I've heard. I've talked to some people at UTSA last week, and I said, "Oh, the possibility of you guys playing Ruger, huh?" And they're like, "I think everyone's kind of hoping for that, because it would just be like the friendliest game ever." Because Ruger still talks to a bunch of the teammates, and he probably still does talk to Coach Hallmark a bunch, because Coach Hallmark is a phenomenal coach and a phenomenal guy. So yeah.
Yeah, that was one of those ones where when he entered the portal, everybody kind of knew he was going up to Texas. There's actually a few coaches that I talked to that were like, yeah, we thought we could get him. And then we saw him taking a visit to Texas, and we're like, okay, that's why he entered the portal.
Yeah.
So you think they go Walker, Ruger, Harrison?
Yeah.
It's weird, though, because Harrison hasn't had a chance to pitch in a while. Do you think there's any rust that's going to be there?
Yeah. I think they're going to struggle a lot, but I think they just got such an easy path to Omaha.
Yeah, they really do. I have Texas UTSA, Ruger shoves in that one. Kansas State, I think both of us have them losing a game to Houston Christian. They're going to be 2 in barbecue. Ultimately, in that blowback game, I think Houston Christian just doesn't have the pitching depth that UTSA has. Furthermore, I don't think UTSA has the pitching depth that Texas has. I think that this will be probably the most carefree, easy weekend.
Yeah, I agree.
Quick one on the Los Angeles one. I have Irvine, but I don't like any of those teams. I'm going to be honest with you.
I don't like any of them either. I like Irvine, though, the most, I guess.
I'm going to be honest with you. If UCLA was a 1 in any other bracket, I would not pick them.
No.
If Irvine was a 2 in any other bracket, I would not pick them. If
no,
Arizona State was
ugly. I think Fresno State takes game 1 against UCLA.
No one's talking about how easy that side of the bracket is for UCLA. And UCLA is not a quality host.
No. And the funny thing is, Noah goes and tweets out after they lose in the Big Ten championship, yeah, if it's worth anything, UCLA randomly did put in a hosting bid at Jackie Robinson Stadium, not Anaheim.
Well, you know the story with their stadium, right?
Yes, yeah.
How the VA technically owns it, and the VA is trying to get the land back. But that felt like the one thing that the committee, that no one's criticizing the committee for,
but everyone's
is that they basically made it to where who's the higher seed between UCLA and UC Irvine. And neither of them were very deserving down the stretch. I mean, UCLA, for reference, they could have won the Big 10 outright, and they pissed down their leg and lose an opening round matchup to Northwestern. They did not look very good in the Big 10 tournament. I don't even think they made the semis, did they?
Who, UCLA?
Yeah.
They made it to the championship.
Oh, yeah. I was thinking of Oregon.
Championship.
I was thinking of Oregon.
Yeah.
That's going to be an ugly regional. But the good news is that it's at 9 p.m., so not very many people are going to watch it. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm probably going to fall asleep because Mike and I are driving from Oxford to Hattiesburg that night.
Do you guys have the honeymoon suite?
I don't know. I'll have to call ahead and see if there's any champagne available.
I'll send some to your room.
Micah loves motels, by the way. That's a little fun fact about Micah. So,
Well, he would have loved where I stayed in Clearwater.
he booked the hotel, by the way. This is a side note. I actually went to school in Mississippi, so I know which areas of Mississippi are shitholes. Newsflash, it's a lot of them. I really hope he didn't get us in like Palmer's Crossing. Hattiesburg. Hattiesburg's one of those cities you have to be really careful about.
What about Blue Mountain?
Basically, we were looking at it, and he was like, yeah, you don't want to stay there because it's a shithole. You don't want to stay there because it's a shithole. And he was like, what about Starkville? I'm like, okay, you got to be kind of – Starkville's fine, but like some of the hotels in Starkville are pretty shitty. Like the Days Inn in Starkville is not my favorite. Anyway, we're getting on a tangent here. The Oxford Regional, the other one that I will be in the house for, Ole Miss hosts Missouri State. The chippy, not satisfied Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets in Danny Halls last year, and the swinging Big Reds. This would be the ultimate mascot thing. I really wish they would bring the Big Red suit over. Wish they'd bring the Yellow Jacket suit over. And I wish they'd bring the Colonel Reb suit over. Fun fact, this will be my second sporting event, actually third of the year with Western Kentucky. So I've now seen Western Kentucky more than I've seen TCU.
That's so weird.
I know, fun fact.
So
I have Ole Miss taking that first one. I think that they kind of get a little weird with their pitching staff. I think they throw Maddox or go with McClaus. Is it McCasland?
Nichols?
No, who's the guy that we've been begging for them to throw on Sunday?
Mason Morris?
I could see Mason Morris pitching against Murray State.
Mm-hmm.
Because it really does set you up really, really well if you can get him in there. Hunter Elliott will throw that 1-0 game. Georgia Tech, Western Kentucky, who you have?
I got Georgia Tech.
I have Georgia Tech too. Ole Miss, Georgia Tech in the 1-0 game. Who do you have?
Georgia Tech.
I have Georgia Tech too. Losers bracket elimination game, Western Kentucky, Murray State.
Western Kentucky.
Western Kentucky, Ole Miss.
Ole Miss.
I have Western Kentucky. I think that they can really swing it really well. I have Georgia Tech taking this one. But honestly, this is one of those toss-up ones.
I don't think it's a toss-up. I think Georgia Tech comes in pissed and gets their way to – you'll see my next pick too. So,
is it weird to say that Ole Miss feels like they are happy to be a host more so? Like they did all this hard work down the stretch to become a host, and they get a bad matchup with Georgia Tech that's pissed off as a host.
Yeah. I think Ole Miss actually deserves it. They had a very good week in Hoover last week.
I thought they earned it before, by the way.
Well, with how the rankings came out, it seems like they did. So,
I mean, I think that this is one of those ones where I think you and I talked about it after it happened, that they got banged down a lot in people's eyes because they lost back-to-back road weekends, because their back-to-back road weekends were at the end of the year. Like every SEC team has 2 back-to-back road weekends. That just happened to be when theirs hit. Everybody really struggled with them. Hunter Elliott will eat innings.
mm-hmm.
And I feel like the offense can do just enough to make them dangerous. But I think this is going to be the most competitive under the radar one of all of them. We'll move on into that Athens Regional, Georgia versus Binghamton, Duke as the 2, Oklahoma State as the 3. Oklahoma State's done a lot of work the last month to get themselves back into the tournament. They haven't made Omaha since 2016, I believe. I'll have to double check that. Duke had their woes last year. Oklahoma State had their woes last year, ironically in the same state of Oklahoma.
Yeah,
Georgia got bounced in a super regional. Yep, they have not won a regional since 2019, and they have hosted the last 3. What do you think is the most likely here? Is that Georgia returns to Omaha and gets out of this regional? Duke kind of silences their woes that they had last year. Oklahoma State ends their tournament woes, or Binghamton, as America's best kept secret from a stadium standpoint, comes in and shocks the world here. What do you think is the most likely to happen?
I think Georgia. I don't think Georgia's getting to Omaha. Let's just get that out of the way. I don't think Georgia's getting to Omaha. I think Georgia Tech gets to Omaha. I think Georgia does get out of this regional, though, because of how the stadium shapes up. Duke and Oklahoma State, it's like
they got a lot of lefty bats, though.
Yes.
Bruggerman's a lefty.
Here, though. It feels like they're just happy to be here.
I don't think that they are. I think that they kind of have that chip on their shoulder of, hey, people think we can't win regionals. We're going to show you. Like I remember last year reading articles about Josh Holiday being on the hot seat, and that was just like the most ridiculous thing. But, I mean, Schumart's going to like break windows at that house. I'm not sure the distance with how far that house is, but he's going to kill some frat kid that's hanging out up there. Yes. I really like Oklahoma State to beat Duke. I like a team in this tournament is going to expose Georgia for their pitching woes. And I don't think it's Oklahoma State, but I think Oklahoma State gives them a really good scare. And if you're going to make me pick a 3 seed that's most likely to advance, I'm going to go with the Pokes here.
Yeah, I think their pitching has started to look a little better. And I think the hitting can get hot, especially at Foley. I have Oklahoma State getting to the, if necessary, game against Georgia. But I think Georgia brings back Curley and throws him against Oklahoma State, and Oklahoma State runs out of pitching.
So you think they throw Curley against Binghamton on like a five inning?
Yeah.
I could see that. It'd be a tall ask to bring him back and then Haskins pitch him again on Friday. I'm gonna go Oklahoma State. We're gonna do ballsy. Oklahoma State, Georgia. Oklahoma State wins it. Bodendorf spins a gem. And so Ole Miss, Oklahoma State. Very anti-SEC of us.
I have Georgia Tech and Georgia.
Moving on into the probably easiest regional, but the toughest super regional. The LSU Tigers will host RPI last among 4 seeds, Little Rock. RPI last among 3 seeds, Rhode Island. And DBU, a team that they already beat 7-3. This feels like LSU's overthinking this from a fan standpoint. You know Kane Anderson's going to shove against Little Rock. You know Ionson's going to shove against probably DBU. Is there any worry? Because DBU's Sunday guy is actually pretty good.
I think LSU takes care of business. I think they go 3-0. I think fans are overreacting because they're worried about, Jay Johnson's at Orgeron. Jay Johnson's at Orgeron. Shut up. Like, you have Jay Johnson. You have probably one of the top 3 college baseball coaches in the country. You don't need to worry about anything. You have a healthy Kate Anderson, a healthy Anthony Ianson, and then game 3, if everything goes right and you don't have to throw Kason Evans, Zach Cowan, or Chase Shores, that is a perfect 3-inning against whoever you face on Sunday.
I'm just trying to look up the kid's name, just so I don't tell you wrong.
Warburg for DBU?
No, Borberg. Ryan Borberg.
Ryan Borberg. I did the write-up too, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Grant Jay's a pretty talented hitter too as well. Hefner, his son is on the team, and his son's a pretty damn good baseball player. Yeah. Clayton Krause, he's another really, really talented team. So it's a team with a lot of depth. It's an older team.
Grant Jay for DBU.
Grant Jay's the headliner. They have a Pettit that comes out of the bullpen.
Well, he's only thrown like 1 game, I think.
He pitched in the regional. Keaton Gary was at Incarnate Word last year. He's another one of my favorite guys. Here's the question is, part of me is like, it's LSU. Like it's LSU at the box. Like they're really, really good. They have depth. They're deep. They can hit. Monster's probably going to have a monster weekend. But do you worry about, because some team is, I think LSU's downfall is going to be outside of Anthony Ianson and Kate Anderson, that there's not really somebody that you trust. Do you think DBU punishes LSU's lack of bullpen depth outside of Kason Evans and Chase Shores and Cowan?
No. Against
I don't think so either.
I against Ole Miss last week, Jaden Newt looked very good. Cooper Williams looked very good. William Schmidt, he's starting to look a little better. I mean, they have the bullpen. It's just everything needs to click.
Yeah. I have LSU kind of taking this one. I think that this is a zero sweat one.
Yeah, 3-0.
I don't know what kind of favors people this LSU team pulls, but this is just a gift of a regional when you look at some of the other ones. Probably very underrated one. We'll move on into the Clemson regional. It is Clemson, West Virginia, Kentucky, and USC Upstate. I believe that is their first trip to the tournament, right?
Correct.
And it's a first-year coach?
I think second.
Second-year coach.
Yeah.
In my head, this will tell you how stupid I am in terms of geography. It's like, oh, that's not too far of a drive for Kentucky or West Virginia. It is. It's a very far drive. It's like 7 or 8 hours.
Oh, that's not that. I've done bus drives longer than that for NAIA.
Let's see. What's your final answer?
7.5.
It is 6 hours, 30 minutes. And then Morgantown is 8 hours. So not really a local regional for them. Clemson, I feel like West Virginia hasn't been playing their best brand of baseball. They need to get back to kind of who they are. It comes down to me is, do you trust Clemson, who hasn't had a Sunday guy all year and it's shown, or do you trust Kentucky's bullpen that's blown 16 games in the SEC? Because if you remember correctly, they've had leads in 29 SEC games this year.
I don't trust West Virginia. I trust Kentucky.
Do you trust Clemson?
Yeah, they got the best closer in the country.
Who's gonna throw the 2-0 game though?
Fuck it, bring him back. Bring Malstat back. Malstat will start.
So we got Clemson, Kentucky, West Virginia, NC State as the 4 getting 2 in barbecue.
Yeah,
that's going to be an interesting one. I think
Clemson and Kentucky.
Is it bad that I think that USC Upstate could surprise Clemson, and then that sets Clemson behind the 8 ball, and they kind of never get out of it?
Yeah,
I think Clemson's better than Kentucky and West Virginia, and on paper they should run this regional, but this just feels like the ultimate look ahead for Clemson. There's nothing that says Clemson shouldn't dominate this regional, but at the same time, every year a team that's the host goes 2 in barbecue and goes home.
Yeah, I think my super regional pick would be Kentucky versus LSU.
A little rematch, if you will.
Yes.
Moving on into the bottom half of that bracket, 2 SEC ones. Cincinnati, Wake Forest is at 1 on ESPN+. Tennessee, Miami of Ohio is at 6. The Fighting Ryland Zabrowskis, if you will, of Miami of Ohio. This is going to be the most loud. This is going to be the most viewed squeeze play regional of the whole tournament.
Yeah, I agree.
Cincinnati can swing it with Carrington Crossland. Tennessee with named 7 guys. Wake Forest, again, their pitching woes have been kind of bad. Didn't we see Tennessee Wake Forest last year?
Yes, in the ECU regional.
Yeah, and then Wake Forest got bounced. They never played Tennessee.
Yep.
I think that they'll definitely play each other this year.
Yes.
I have Tennessee. I think that this will be like one of those like billion run games. I think Tony V's. It's going to be a chippy ass one too. Because here's the other part: is I've got to see Cincinnati. Monty's got to see Cincinnati. It is a vocal dugout.
Yes.
Like they are chippy. Like I remember when we were taking pictures when they were playing Kansas, they just kept making dolphin noises. Like I cannot imagine Tony V when somebody like gives them a more cringe version of what they do.
Ariel Antigua, heads up. You might meet your match.
Yeah, Scholar Athlete of the Year, Ariel Antigua.
Yeah, I have I have the winner of Wake Forest Cincinnati, whoever gets the 20 runs first. And I think it'll be Wake Forest. I think Tennessee beats Miami. Tennessee and Wake Forest will match up. Wake Forest takes down Tennessee. Wake Forest runs all over Tennessee and Marcus Phillips. Tennessee will take down Cincinnati in that third game, that elimination game. Then I think Tennessee drains the pitching of Wake Forest, and Tennessee finds their way into the Supers.
I think that that's going to be a cannibalism on the back end. The only thing is they did announce that Liam Doyle is going to pitch that opening game against Miami. I think that that's smart.
Yeah.
Miami is one of the better 4 seeds, and I think is actually one of those ones that could sneak up on it. If you're Tennessee, you better hope and pray that Wake Forest wins that game, because I cannot imagine Marcus Phillips pitching against Cincinnati. Cincinnati loves to steal.
Yeah.
That is like I said, that might be Marcus Phillips against Cincinnati might be the worst matchup of any team in the country.
Yeah. Cincinnati, let me double check. I think Cincinnati is also top 10 in bunts and stolen bases.
That makes sense.
Let me double check that select team stat. Because I know Western Kentucky is like 2. No, Northeastern's 2. Cincinnati is tied for 18th with 128 stolen bases.
That's so Marcus Phillips has no chance.
They might try and double their stolen base counter.
Sorry, I just got a text from somebody. Moving on into Jake's greatest hits is what Noah called this one. Arkansas, Creighton, Kansas, and North Dakota. You know I love my Creighton Blue Jays. They're probably my favorite mid-major outside of Tulane. You know I absolutely love my Rock Chalk Jayhawk. They're probably my favorite Big 12 team. I love Kansas so much it made me rethink how I feel about Big 12 baseball. Yeah. I thought Big 12 baseball was a joke until I started hanging out with Kansas. And then Arkansas, the greatest fan base in college baseball, the one that everybody in Omaha roots to get there. Why are you giving me that dirty look? No, LSU fans think that LSU thinks that they're what Arkansas is. LSU has a lot of local fans for some reason.
Yeah, it's like Baton Rouge is where they live.
I don't think anybody, and this is not meant as an insult, I don't think anybody that's an LSU fan works. Like, they go to every game in Hoover that's during a work week. They go to every game in Omaha that's during a work week. They go to midnight games at the box every other weekend. Does anybody in Louisiana work?
No, I mean, I guess yes, because we do have 11 convicts running around. It seems like every week. So, I guess someone is working at some point to let these guys run free. But yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of remote working now.
Is that when those prisoners broke out was during an LSU baseball game?
No, it was at 1 a.m. The day of.
You laugh, but LSU has played multiple games at 1 a.m. this morning.
I'm aware. I've been there. I've been there. We've been there.
This feels like if I'm going to make a heart pick. You know what I'm saying this? Arkansas finally breaks the Big 12 curse.
Arkansas?
Yes. Because they've been bounced to the last 2 regionals by Big 12 teams.
Yeah, I think Arkansas gets past. I think they go 3-1. I think they get the, if necessary, game forced by Creighton.
They have such a good. They're the only team with a bullpen in this regional, though, I should say. I think that they benefit greatly that they're the one, or they're the one and not Kansas. Because Dom? I forget the kid's name for Kansas. They're stud. Give me a second. What's your final guess? I know the kid's name is Dominic.
In purple and gold, they flock to the stands. LSU fans with their game day plans. From dawn to dusk, they cheer and they yell. No job in sight, but their passion's a spell.
Dominic Vogel and Cooper Moore. So it'll probably be Dom Vogel as the Friday guy. So Arkansas will face Cooper Moore. It'll probably be Cooper Moore versus Zach Root, if I had to guess. I like Arkansas. I think that they finally expel. This feels like the girlfriend that keeps cheating on you. That you're like, oh yeah, like it'll be different this time. I feel like it's different this time with Arkansas.
Yeah,
I really hit their way out of a regional.
I really like Arkansas. I think Arkansas is the best team in the country. I think Arkansas goes. I think they get the if necessary game force, but I think this hitting's too good to if they don't make it out of this regional, that like there are going to be people calling for DVH's head.
That's going to be ridiculous, by the way. I feel like they've been playing super regionals up at Fayetteville though for the last month. Like that Texas one was rowdy. Tennessee was rowdy. So you have Creighton beating Kansas though. That's kind of an interesting one.
Yes, I do.
I have Arkansas winning this one. I think that they stay on the right side of the bracket. I think it's Kansas that ends up giving them kind of some issues down the stretch. I think Kansas steals one game, but I don't see them taking two. And Arkansas does have the pitching to roll through a loser's bracket.
Yeah.
Well, Andrew, we accomplished our goal. We kept it under 1 hour. Yeah. Andrew and I will be on the scene. Actually, you will not be on the scene.
No,
Andrew will be off. He'll be in the nest. Me and Michael will be on the scene traveling this fantastic, fantastic country. Andrew, closing thoughts?
Go out and watch some college baseball. And I'm gonna plug get some Chinook seeds.
Yep.
Get some Chinook seeds.
Yep. Get some Chinook seeds. Andrew, I do have an ad read for us, by the way.
Oh, really?
Yes. I want to thank our newest sponsor, Washed Up Goods. They make non-toxic, safe laundry goods that are the new standard. Don't be stinky. Use Washed Up Goods. They have a variety of scents, ranging from unscented floral to sandalwood. Be sure to pick up your Washed Up laundry detergent for all of your dirt-soaking needs. Again, we'd like to thank Washed Up Goods for sponsoring this podcast.
Thank you, Washed Up Goods.
All right. Thanks, Andrew. We'll see everybody later.